I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get it, no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all of this. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stretch, seal my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, they don't want it when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. What's a family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving in the house and woo. Watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead. Watch how I set it up, bet you I shut it down, watch how I get a win. I don't think they really wanna come against the one that got a finger run up in on a grenade. I ain't never been there when you think you can pay.
Hey you guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be following up on yesterday's video, which was all about dynamic stretching, the purpose of it, and then I took you through a dynamic stretching workout. If you did not watch that video, I'll link it right up here, or whichever side it puts the little information clip on, I'll link it up there on the top. But today we're going to be discussing static stretching, which is what you do post-workout. So before we get started, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up, that you hit the notification bell below so that you get notified the rest of Vlogmas, and also subscribe to my channel if you're new here, or if you're returning and you haven't subscribed yet, what you doing? Like, go ahead and subscribe. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right on into today. All right, before we get into these specific stretches, I want to give a definition of static stretching. So essentially, static stretching is done at the end of your workout, and it involves stretches that you hold in place for a specific period of time without any active movement. So this allows your muscles to loosen up while also helping to still increase your flexibility as well as your range of motion. And static stretching has so many benefits. One, of course, being increasing your flexibility as well as your range of motion, pretty much in any joint that you're targeting. And then it also creates less pain and stiffness. So, like having less tense and tight muscles. When your muscles are tense and tight, your muscles can be really overworked. And if you're not static stretching after your workouts, it can lead to this increased pain and stiffness. So, static stretching is amazing. Make sure that you're definitely doing it at the end of your workouts. And when you are static stretching, listen to your body. You know more than anyone else what your body needs and how it needs to be taken care of. So always be mindful of that when you're stretching. All right, so when I am doing my static stretching, I typically just stick to static stretching my whole entire body because that is what feels best for my body specifically. But in this particular stretch, I am doing a hurdler stretch. This stretches your glutes, your hamstrings, and then for me, it also helps with stretching my lower back and my arms sometimes. Right now, I don't have my arms fully extended in front of me, but typically I do stretch like that. But today I was not feeling as flexible, so I needed to lean into my arms to kind of hold me up, especially on this side. You can tell it is not as low as I was on the other side. And when I'm doing most of my static stretches, I typically hold these for around 30 to 60 seconds. Sometimes a little bit less if I'm just really unable to have the same mobility that I typically do, which is totally fine. Every day is different, which of course is why it's so important to static stretch after every single workout. Here, also feeling super fucking stiff, but just stretching, leaning forward in a toe stretch. This is going to stretch your hamstrings, also your lower back. Again, I'm holding this for 30 to 60 seconds. And then I just moved my hands from my feet to my toes. If you cannot touch your toes, or wait, I just moved my hands from my feet and toes to my ankles. If you don't have enough range of motion to lean all the way forward and touch your toes, that is totally okay. Not everyone does. Don't ever feel like you have to overstretch yourself to be able to touch your toes. Listen to your body, like I've said repeatedly right now, and just do what works for you. And if that's going to your ankles one day, going to your toes the next, that's totally fine. Then here, I'm just doing a cross body arm stretch. This feels amazing when stretching your arms. It's going to stretch your, you can do this both overhead and just across your body. But when you're doing it across your body, it's going to stretch your triceps, your biceps, uh, lots and lots of muscles in your arms. And then just switch sides. This stretch I usually do for about 30 seconds on each arm. And then you can also go overhead as well to get more stretch, but I don't believe that I did that here. All right, and then probably my favorite stretch. Here I am leaning into my foot, almost kind of in like a front lunge position. This stretches your glutes, your hip flexors, and then also for me, this feels so amazing because, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, I do have Achilles tendonitis. So I really try and make sure that I'm always, always, always stretching my Achilles. So I hold this. The days are different, but I usually hold this for 30 to 45 seconds. Some days I'm definitely more stiff than others. So I'm just really focusing on being consistent and making sure that I'm stretching this. And then again, alternating, switching over to the left side here. And then here I am going into a hamstring stretch. There are a lot of different ways to stretch your hamstrings. For me, this feels the best, but definitely be careful when you're doing this. You want to make sure that you're not locking out your knee in this position. It can hurt, especially if you have knee problems, so just be really careful as you're doing this. Sometimes this stretch can be pretty painful because I do lean into my back toes. You can also put your back toes down, but this feels best for me. But for this one, again, just make sure that you're not locking your knee out. Oh, and I'm actually noticing I'm locking mine out, but you shouldn't be, especially if you have knee problems. And I hold this for about 15 to 20 seconds per leg because this typically is a more painful stretch for me, but I know I need it. You can also stretch your hamstrings in so many other ways, so don't feel like you're limited to one. And then here, holding a sumo squat. I do sumo squats before my workout as well. So when I'm dynamic stretching, but I'm doing it in a active form. So going up and down, or sometimes I go from a sumo squat to a hamstring stretch. But at the end of my workouts, I love to do sumo squats because it one helps relieve some of that tension on my lower back, and then it also helps with my hip flexors as well as my Achilles again. And then here, this is amazing, doing some Cobra. This feels great stretching out your core, especially if you've done core, helps loosen up those lower abdominal muscles. And then last but not least, getting into a this is a little bit of everything. But I mainly did this stretch one to stretch my hip flexors and then also to stretch my arms. Now I know it looks like I'm not putting my hands that much above my head, but I really am. This felt amazing in my lats and my triceps. And then my lower body is getting stretched out in the hips. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you come back tomorrow for day 5 of Vlogmas.